Welcome to Infinite Universe with interesting episode. Freddie Mercury was born on September 5, 1946, on the island of Zanzibar, which was a British protectorate at the time. His family followed the Zoroastrian religion, one of the oldest in the world. From birth, Freddie was different. He had 4 extra teeth, which he later believed gave him the vocal ability to sing across 4 octaves. Growing up, he was surrounded by a mix of African, Arab, and Indian cultures that would go on to shape his unique music style. Freddie spent his early years in India, where his parents sent him to a British-style boarding school called St. Peter's in Panchshani, near Mumbai, when he was just 8 years old. It was at this school that he started calling himself Freddie and began showing a deep interest in music. A teacher noticed his talent and advised his parents to pay for music lessons. That decision changed everything. Freddie joined his first band, the Hectics, and they played rock and roll covers of artists like Cliff Richard and Little Richard. Even at that young age, Freddie showed a natural talent for music. He was also influenced by Bollywood singers like Lata Mangeshkar, whose powerful voice left a lasting impact on him. In 1964, political unrest erupted in Zanzibar. Thousands were killed during the revolution, and Freddie's family fled to England for safety. They settled in a small house in Feltham, near London. Life in England was hard at first, but Freddie remained determined. He joined Isleworth Polytechnic to study art and later went to Ealing Art College, where he became skilled in graphic design. This talent would later help him design Queen's famous logo. To support himself, Freddie took up odd jobs like washing dishes at Heathrow Airport. It was during his time at Ealing that he met Tim Staffel, a member of a band called Smile. The band included guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor. Freddie became close friends with them, offering ideas and suggestions. When Tim left the band in 1970, Freddie joined as the lead singer. He suggested renaming the band to Queen, saying the name sounded grand and powerful. Queen performed their first concert in June 1970 at a charity event. They still needed a bassist, and after trying out several musicians, they finally found John Deacon in 1971. Around this time, Freddie also changed his last name to Mercury. He got the idea from a line in one of his songs, "Mother Mercury, look what they've done to me." Queen's rise to fame was not immediate. Their first album, released in 1973, failed to chart in the UK and barely reached number 83 in the US. Their second album, released in 1974, didn't perform much better. But their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, finally put them on the map. It featured the hit song Killer Queen, written by Freddie one night while sitting at his piano. This song told the story of a high-society prostitute and was known for its unique sound and storytelling. Brian May's guitar solo using a 6-pence coin and the band's complex production techniques made the song stand out. Killer Queen became a major hit, reaching number 2 in the UK and number 12 in the US. It caused a bit of tension within the band, especially with Roger Taylor, who worried it made them look like a pop band rather than serious rock musicians. The real breakthrough came with Bohemian Rhapsody, released in 1975 as part of the album A Night at the Opera. The song took 3 weeks to record, included 180 overdubs, and cost £40,000 to produce, making it the most expensive song of its time. Its structure was unlike anything before, with 3 distinct parts: a slow ballad, an operatic section, and a rock finale. Record executives thought it was too long and wanted it cut down for radio. The band refused, and their manager secretly gave it to DJ Kenny Everett, who played it multiple times over a weekend. Fans loved it. The song stayed at number 1 in the UK for 9 weeks and returned to the top spot in 1991 after Freddie's death. In the US, it originally peaked at number 9 but reached number 2 in 1992 after being featured in the movie Wayne's World. Queen also changed how music videos were made and used. The video for Bohemian Rhapsody, shot in just 4 hours for £4,500, featured the now iconic image of the band members' faces in a prism shape. It became a landmark moment in music video history. Later, they made more bold videos. For example, in I Want to Break Free, they dressed in drag, copying a scene from the British soap opera Coronation Street. MTV banned the video in the US, but it became a fan favorite elsewhere. Their video for Radio Gaga used expensive scenes from the movie Metropolis, costing $100,000 just to license. Queen's live shows became legendary. During their 1975 tour for A Night at the Opera, they used a huge lighting setup with 168 lights and 12 aircraft landing lights. By 1986, at their famous Wembley concerts, their lighting rig had over 1,000 lights and a 5-ton crown-shaped structure. Freddie's stage presence also changed over the years. Early on, he was shy and often stayed behind his piano. One night, his microphone stand broke, and he continued performing with just the top half. He liked the freedom it gave him and kept using it that way. By 1973, he was painting his nails black and wearing glam rock outfits designed by Zandra Rhodes. In 1976, he wore his famous Harlequin jumpsuit, which had to be sewn onto him before each show. In the 1980s, he changed again, growing a mustache and wearing leather pants and military jackets, influenced by the New York gay club scene. He still liked to mix humor with his bold style. In the I Want to Break Free video, he wore a dress but kept his mustache, which confused many people and sparked controversy. His stage antics became more outrageous over time. During the Hot Space tour in 1982, Freddie rode on the shoulders of a crew member dressed as Darth Vader while performing We Will Rock You. In Japan, he once stripped down to just shorts during a concert, removing pieces of his costume as the show progressed. These bold performances made Freddie unforgettable. In 1981, Queen released the album Hot Space, which marked a big change in their music. Freddie and John Deacon wanted to try out disco and funk sounds, but many fans didn't like the shift. The song Body Language, released in 1982, pushed boundaries even further. Its lyrics and video were so bold that MTV banned it, causing more backlash. Still, Freddie continued exploring new musical directions. In 1985, he released his first solo album, Mr. Bad Guy, after 2 years of work in Munich. The album was full of dance beats and synthesizers, showing a different side of Freddie's creativity. He dedicated it to his cats, writing, "This album is for my cat Jerry. Also Tom, Oscar, and Tiffany, and all the cat lovers in the universe. Screw everybody else." On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury stepped onto the stage for what would be Queen's final concert. His doctor had advised against performing, saying his voice was too weak. Still, Freddie went ahead with the show. During the performance of Who Wants to Live Forever, a tragedy struck the crowd as a fan died. But what followed shocked even more people. After the show, John Deacon had a violent outburst, possibly from the pressure and emotional toll. Then, Freddie mysteriously disappeared and was not seen in public for some time. That night marked the end of an era. Freddie had pushed through illness to give one last powerful performance. Behind the glamour and applause was a man who gave everything to his music and fans. Though Queen would never tour with him again, his legacy continued to grow. People still admire Freddie Mercury not just for his incredible voice, but for his courage, creativity, and unforgettable presence on stage. From a young boy in Zanzibar to a rock legend, Freddie Mercury's journey was like no other. Freddie Mercury's journey was full of passion, creativity, and heartache. Even though one of his songs made it to the top 10 in the UK, it didn't do very well in the US. Still, it gave him the confidence to keep pushing himself. In 1987, he began a unique collaboration with the opera singer Montserrat Cabal. Together, they made the album Barcelona. The title track was a bold mix of opera and rock, and it highlighted just how powerful Freddie's voice truly was. The song later became the anthem for the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, but tragically, Freddie didn't live long enough to see it performed on that stage. At the same time, things weren't going well for Queen. After they released Hot Space, they went on tour, but by the end of 1982, tensions within the band had grown too strong. They decided to take a break. Brian May would later admit that they actually hated each other for a while. When they started recording their 1984 album The Works, things didn't improve. Brian May became so frustrated that he walked out of the studio and spent hours alone in a park thinking about whether he should leave the band. John Deacon shocked everyone when he suddenly flew off to Bali without telling anyone. It was a strange and unsettling time. When Queen found out about the Live Aid concert, Freddie reacted with humor, singing Bali Harai from the musical South Pacific, making a joke about Deacon's sudden trip. But not all troubles were light-hearted. In 1984, Queen performed in Sun City, South Africa, during apartheid. Many people were furious because of the country's racist laws. As a result, the band was banned by the Musicians' Union and condemned by the United Nations. A year later, during a concert in Rio de Janeiro, the crowd even booed them. Freddie's personal life was no less chaotic. His manager Paul Prenter caused a lot of trouble inside the band. Brian May didn't even want to speak his name during interviews and would only call him the guy who looked after Fred. But everything shifted on July 13, 1985. Queen was scheduled to perform at Live Aid. Freddie wasn't feeling well and had issues with his voice. Still, he insisted on performing. At 6:41 p.m., the band took the stage and delivered one of the most legendary performances in music history. In just 21 minutes, they played parts of their biggest songs, like Bohemian Rhapsody, Radio Gaga, and We Are the Champions. Freddie led the crowd in clapping during Radio Gaga, creating a moment that no one would forget. An estimated 1.9 billion people watched it on television. Backstage, Elton John reportedly told them, "You bastards, you stole the show." That performance gave Queen a second wind and new energy. They began working on a new album called A Kind of Magic, which was meant to be the soundtrack for the movie Highlander, a story about immortality. The band used modern digital tools to make the album sound fresh. The title song came from a line in the movie, but Freddie changed the original version, upsetting Roger Taylor. Another track, Who Wants to Live Forever, was written by Brian May after watching a touching scene from the film. The song featured an 80-piece orchestra and felt incredibly emotional and grand. In 1986, Queen planned their most ambitious tour ever, calling it the Magic Tour. It was something they had never attempted before. They scheduled 26 shows in 9 different countries in just 8 weeks. The stage was absolutely massive, 160 feet wide with 2 long walkways stretching into the crowd. It required over 8 miles of cable just to power everything. The video screen was 20 feet tall and so big it needed its own generator. The sound system was so strong that people miles away could hear it, and some even filed complaints about the noise in nearby villages. On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury walked onto the stage at Knebworth Park at exactly 6:41 p.m. He had no idea that this would be his final live performance with Queen. The crowd was enormous, about 120,000 people had come to see them perform. Freddie wore his famous white tank top and tight jeans. Though he looked confident, he wasn't feeling well. That morning, his doctor had told him his throat was inflamed and warned him not to perform. But Freddie wouldn't listen. He refused to let his fans down. As he sang One Vision, his voice cracked slightly, but the audience didn't seem to care. The band had a backup set list prepared just in case Freddie couldn't handle the harder songs. But he surprised everyone and pushed through. During Under Pressure, his voice cracked on a high note. Rather than hide it, Freddie turned the moment into something beautiful by having the audience sing with him. At 8:03 p.m., they played Who Wants to Live Forever. The lyrics took on new meaning, almost as if Freddie was singing about his own life. At 8:17 p.m., they performed Bohemian Rhapsody, one of Queen's most difficult songs. Freddie sang parts of the operatic section live, something they usually use tape for. He hit a high note he hadn't tried in years, and the crowd went wild. The final song of the night was We Are the Champions. Once again, Freddie's voice cracked, but instead of pulling back, he held the note even longer. The crowd's roar was so loud, it reached nearby villages. At 8:59 p.m., the band played God Save the Queen. Normally, this was when they left the stage, but Freddie stayed. He stood still with his eyes closed as the music played. When it ended, he turned to the crowd, bowed deeply, and said, "Thank you, lovely people. Good night and sweet dreams." It was 9:02 p.m., and Freddie Mercury had just finished his final live performance. Backstage, something unexpected happened. John Deacon, usually the calmest member of the band, had a sudden outburst. Just 18 minutes before the show, he threw his bass guitar across the dressing room, nearly hitting Roger Taylor's drum tech. Everyone was stunned. In his 15 years with Queen, Deacon had never lost control like that. He later confessed to Brian May, "I can't do this anymore. It's too much." He also argued with the sound engineer about his bass levels. But once he got on stage, he gave one of the best performances of his life. A tragedy also occurred in the crowd that night. A 23-year-old fan named Michael Jennings collapsed during Who Wants to Live Forever. He was just 50 meters from the stage. Medics responded quickly, but they couldn't save him. He was pronounced dead at 9:43 p.m. from an undiagnosed heart condition. The excitement and massive crowd had worsened it. Just 2 days earlier, he had won his concert ticket from a radio contest. His friend Sarah, who was with him, said he kept saying it was the best night of his life before he suddenly collapsed. This heartbreaking moment led to stricter safety rules for large concerts in the years to come. After the show, Freddie left the stage quickly. That was unlike him. Normally, he would stay to celebrate with the crew. But this time, he rushed off. His assistant Peter Freestone later revealed that Freddie had received a troubling call from his doctor before the concert. The news had clearly affected him. He even left behind his silver bracelet, which he had worn at every show since 1977. A cleaner found it and returned it to him. On the drive back to London, Freddie sat quietly, looking out the window and occasionally wiping his eyes with a handkerchief. He was clearly deep in thought. Backstage, Freddie had a moment of vulnerability. He turned to Peter Freestone and softly said, "I don't know if I can do this." Roger Taylor remembered finding Freddie alone after the show. Freddie looked up and said, "Darling, I think I've given it my all." At the time, Roger thought Freddie was just tired. But now, he understands Freddie was saying goodbye. Roger still keeps a drumstick from that night in his studio as a tribute. John Deacon later called it the hardest performance of his life. He admitted that he cried during These Are the Days of Our Lives, believing it could be their last time playing together. For the whole band, that night truly felt like the end of an era. Freddie Mercury's life was full of close relationships, heartbreak, and moments that defied explanation. One of the most meaningful connections he had was with Mary Austin. They met in 1969 when Freddie was 24 and she was 19. They fell in love, moved in together, and even got engaged. But in 1976, Freddie told Mary he was bisexual. She calmly replied, "No, Freddie, I think you're gay." Though it changed their romantic relationship, it didn't break their bond. They stayed deeply connected for life. Freddie always called her his one true friend. He made sure she was taken care of. In 1980, he bought her an apartment near his own home. In his will, he left her half his fortune, including his mansion. Mary was by his side when his health worsened and kept the location of his ashes a secret, just as he wished. Freddie also had other relationships. He met hairdresser Jim Hutton in 1985, and they remained together until Freddie's death in 1991. He was also close to Austrian actress Barbara Valentin, and the three of them sometimes spent time together. Freddie's relationships were complicated, often overlapping and filled with emotion. His struggle with his sexuality and public image lasted all his life. Born in 1946, he grew up when being gay was still illegal in many places. He knew he was attracted to men from an early age, but he had to hide it. When asked about it, he often joked or gave vague answers, like saying he was as gay as a daffodil. It was his way of avoiding the truth while still being himself. Freddie wasn't just a singer, he was a true artist. He studied art and design and had a deep love for collecting beautiful things. His home was filled with paintings by famous artists like Picasso and Dali, Japanese prints, antique glass, and even portraits of his beloved cats. His home reflected his passion for beauty and creativity. Freddie kept his battle with AIDS private for many years. In 1987, he learned he had HIV, though signs had appeared earlier. On a 1982 trip to New York, he saw a doctor about a spot on his tongue, which may have been an early symptom. Even after his diagnosis, he denied all rumors. British tabloids were relentless, publishing articles in 1986 about his health. The stigma around AIDS at the time likely pushed him to stay quiet. Even his bandmates didn't fully know the truth, and they never pressed him. Only a few close friends were aware. His assistant Peter Freestone later said that Mercury had watched many friends die from AIDS, and it haunted him. Just one day before his death, Freddie released a statement confirming his diagnosis and explaining why he had kept it secret. People had long suspected something was wrong as he looked thinner and weaker. On November 23, 1991, he told the world he had AIDS. He died the next day. Even while seriously ill, Freddie kept making music. In 1990, Queen recorded Innuendo. They changed their work schedule to give him time to rest, 3 weeks of work followed by 2 weeks off. The doctors had told the band he didn't have much time left, but Freddie was determined. One of the songs, The Show Must Go On, became a symbol of his strength. Brian May doubted Freddie could handle the difficult vocals, but Freddie took a shot of vodka and said, "I'll do it, darling." He then delivered a flawless performance in one take. In May 1991, he continued recording and worked on Mother Love, though he couldn't finish it. His final recording session was on May 22, 1991, where he sang A Winter's Tale, which appeared posthumously on Made in Heaven. His last public appearance was on February 18, 1990, at the Brit Awards, where Queen received an award for their contributions to British music. Freddie looked thin and tired but came to honor his band and fans. Brian May gave most of the speech. Freddie simply said, "Thank you, good night," his last public words. By June 1991, he stayed mostly at home in Kensington. Friends and Mary Austin visited regularly. His health worsened quickly. He lost his sight, could barely move, and stayed in bed. On November 22, 1991, he stopped taking all medication except for painkillers. The same day, he prepared his public statement with manager Jim Beach. On November 24, 1991, Freddie Mercury passed away from pneumonia caused by AIDS at the age of 45. His final moments were peaceful. Jim Hutton said Freddie looked calm and radiant. After his death, Freddie's music only grew in popularity. In 1995, Queen released Made in Heaven, an album of his last recordings. It became a worldwide hit, selling over 20 million copies. His voice and spirit continue to inspire people all over the world. Queen's Greatest Hits is the best-selling album in UK history, and Freddie Mercury's legacy will never be forgotten. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.